Okay, so here's everything you need to know about the Marvel Cinematic Universe leading up to Phase 3 movies. Marvel has already announced the Phase 3 movie lineup, which includes Ant-Man in July 2015, Captain America Civil War in May 2016, Doctor Strange in November 2016, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in May 2017, Marvel's new take on Spider-Man in July 2017, Thor Ragnarok in November 2017, Avengers Infinity War Part 1 in May 2018, Black Panther in July 2018, Marvel's first standalone female movie, which is Captain Marvel in 2018, Avengers Infinity War Part 2 in May 2019, and finally, Inhumans in July 2019. Okay, so I'm going to be covering everything from Phase 1 and Phase 2 movies. Note, spoilers from all of the Marvel movies in Phase 1 and Phase 2 are coming. Phase 1 started off with Iron Man 1. This movie kicked off the Marvel Cinematic Universe and introduced one of the most arguably important characters to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The next Marvel movie was The Incredible Hulk. This movie was a reboot of a previous Hulk from a few years back and had an extremely important Easter egg. In the end of the movie, Iron Man confronted a man at a bar about starting a team. This is foreshadowing an Avengers movie before this thought even crossed anyone's mind, not to mention the amazing cameo with Lou Ferrigno, the original Hulk. After The Incredible Hulk was Iron Man's second movie, which introduced War Machine. War Machine introduced a second man, the only man besides Tony Stark, that owns an Iron Man armor suit. That's the only significance that relates back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The next movie on the list is Thor. Thor started showing the idea of a larger universe that had danger. In this movie, Thor changes his mindset to become worthy enough to wield his own hammer because when Thor disobeyed his own father, he got his powers taken away and his hammer got a new inscription that read, "Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor." This ultimately ended up with Thor becoming a hero on Earth and introducing the first enemy of the Avengers, Loki. Loki will be the main antagonist of the first superhero team-up movie, The Avengers. The next movie on the list is Captain America: The First Avenger. In this movie, Tony Stark's dad, Howard Stark, invents a super serum that turns Commander Steve Rogers into a super soldier. During these events, Steve Rogers enrolls in the army with his best friend since childhood, James "Bucky" Barnes, who eventually falls off their train to certain death. During World War II, a new facility of evilness came out of the shadows known as Hydra. Hydra invented weapons of destruction using an ultimate power source known as the Tesseract. The Tesseract has a huge role in the next Marvel movie, which ends off Phase 1, The Avengers. This movie tied together the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe to fight a common enemy, Loki, from the movie Thor. Loki shows up to take over all of Earth with the help of a small, powerful energy source known as the Tesseract from Captain America: The First Avenger. The Avengers also introduced two new heroes that are known as Black Widow and Hawkeye. Hawkeye actually gets mind control using Loki's staff by Loki, which will have a huge impact later in Phase 2. At the end of Avengers, Thor brings the Tesseract back to Asgard along with the arrested Loki. The post-credit scene shows a new threat to the Avengers, who is the demigod Thanos. Thanos is already confirmed to be the main antagonist in Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and 2. This concludes Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe started off with Iron Man 3. This movie brings up the idea that the human mind can be accessed in order to be modified, something that will later be explored in Marvel's Inhumans in 2019. However, in the end of Iron Man 3, Tony Stark decides to give up the Iron Man suits and gets rid of the arc reactor from his chest. This kind of defeats the purpose of ever getting the arc reactor and becoming Iron Man, but movies, right? Anyways, the next movie in the lineup is Thor: The Dark World. This movie opens up the idea of a wormhole throughout all parts of the galaxy that Loki has been using to travel between Earth and Asgard. This wormhole is discovered by Thor's mistress, Jane Foster. When Thor feels like something has gone wrong, he brings Jane to Asgard, where Odin reveals that she has ether inside of her. The ether is what the villain in this movie is after because of its powers. In the post-credits scene, two Asgardians visit the Collector and give him the ether. They say it's not wise to keep two Infinity Stones on Asgard, but we will get into that later. Next on the list is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. In this movie, it is found out that Hydra has been infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. for decades, and their plan has finally come to a conclusion where they plan on basically killing a few cities. Why? It's hard to follow, just keep listening. Hydra has been using a secret soldier to do all their dirty work. This soldier, Winter Soldier, is later found out to be James Bucky Barnes, Captain America's childhood friend. Turns out he had gone through a similar process as Cap, except given a robotic arm in the process. He was frozen in a cryogenic stasis device and summoned to perform evil tasks when Hydra needed him to. For you Family Guy lovers, that's the same device that Stewie built to be placed in the episode The Big Bang Theory. Since Hydra had been going on for a few decades, some SHIELD leaders had been part of Hydra. The Hydra leaders had put Captain America as a SHIELD fugitive and attempted to kill Nick Fury. At the end of the movie, Nick Fury went into hiding and a new hero was introduced. This new character is a fellow war veteran, which is known as Falcon. The post-credit scene for this movie is a quick view of Van Strucker's lab, where it is revealed that he has acquired Loki's scepter because, it got lost in the Avengers and Thor only thought to pick up the Tesseract. But anyways, Van Strucker also has two twins that he mentions that it is the Age of Miracles. These two twins have been revealed to volunteer for his program, whatever that may be. These two twins are Wando and Pietro Maximoff, also known as Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. He can go as fast as Mach 10, which is 2.1 miles every second. That's fast enough to run around the entire Earth in 3.5 hours, which he could do even on water. The Scarlet Witch has the power of Hex and can play with people's mind. Later showcased in the Avengers Age of Ultron, she can pull out one's darkest nightmare out of their head and make it seem like reality. Due to certain contract errors, Fox owns the word mutants, which Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are. It seems as if they will be known as miracles throughout their experience in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Anyways, next on the list is Guardians of the Galaxy. This is where we really see the Infinity Stones and their power. In the very beginning of this movie, Peter Quill, or Star-Lord, is abducted by aliens right after his mother had passed away, which apparently didn't have too much of an impact on him because the movie fast-forward 20 years into a scene of Star-Lord stealing an Infinity Stone from an ancient planet. This Infinity Stone is confirmed to be the power gem. The movie started off calling them Infinity Stones, but switched over on Avengers Age of Ultron. In the comics, they are Infinity Gems, but for an unknown reason, they have switched their name. Perhaps contracting mistakes, perhaps different vocabulary throughout the universe. Anyways, the Guardians visit the Collector, who reveals how before creation there were 6 singularities. Then the universe exploded into existence, and the remnants of those systems were forged into 6 concentrated ingots, Infinity Stones. These stones can only be bended by beings with extraordinary strength. These carriers can mow down entire civilizations like wheat in a field. There is a few Easter eggs in the background of other Infinity Stones. There are Tesseract from Captain America, the First Avenger, and the Avengers, as well as the Ether from Thor the Dark World. It is revealed that the antagonist in Guardians of the Galaxy, Ronan the Destroyer, is on a mission to get the Infinity Stone, as requested by Thanos. The demigod from the Avengers post-credit scene. Yeah, that guy. We get to see his whole body here in preparation for Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and 2. Once Ronan figures out that he can use the stone for destruction, he decides to destroy a few planets and eventually take on Thanos. He doesn't make it this far because the Guardians take it over, but it's a nice hint at Phase 3. After the Avengers use the stone to defeat and destroy Ronan, Star-Lord ends up giving the stone to the Nova Corp at the end of the movie. Also, on a side note, Gamora, a Guardians member, and her sister Nebula, who escaped in the end of the movie, are both daughters of Thanos. Yeah, Marvel really likes this guy. Last on the list of Phase 2 movies is Avengers: Age of Ultron. In this movie, the Avengers search the planet for Loki's scepter, which they quickly find in Van Strucker's lab, but they're visited by the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in the process. Iron Man is the only one who gets affected by the witch's mind control powers and sees the end of everything. He sees Earth being taken over by an alien species, as well as all of the Avengers from the first movie only, dead. Captain America leans up and tells him that he could have prevented everything from happening. Then Cap takes his last breath. Later in the movie, it is revealed that Tony Stark thinks that he saw his destiny, and this is where his future is going. This could be from Infinity Wars, or just an idea of what Infinity Wars could be if gone wrong. Later in the movie, Bruce Banner, also known as the Hulk, and Tony Stark find out that they could develop a form of artificial intelligence used as a peacekeeper around the world using Loki's scepter, which they had just acquired. Using Loki's scepter, they make a type of loop system that will code pieces of work together until Ultron's AI comes out. During this process, they walk away and go to a party in Stark's house. This is when Ultron is created and starts freaking out, so Jarvis talks to him in order to calm him down. Immediately after, Ultron kills Jarvis and attempts to destroy his AI. Later in the movie, it is revealed that his AI has just been scattered. While Ultron is creating a physical form, the Avengers joke around about lifting Thor's hammer. This is when Captain America nudges Thor's hammer. This scares Thor because he realizes that Captain America is worthy enough to lift his hammer, but Captain America ultimately fails lifting the hammer, but this could also be foreshadowing something later in a Marvel movie. That's when Ultron attacks the heroes and steals Loki's scepter. After Ultron bails out of the building, Thor attacks unarmed Tony Stark. Perhaps this is foreshadowing next year's Captain America Civil War, which a certain webcrawler will be making a cameo or perhaps having a bigger role in. Anyways, later in the movie, Ultron has teamed up with the twins and told the Scarlet Witch to mess with the minds of the Avengers to get them to go against each other, which they end up doing and making a pretty big impact on the team. When Thor gets hit with Scarlet Witch's mind control powers and is forced to see his worst fears, he realizes something that he doesn't really know what it is at first. Later in the movie, he discovers that he saw the team up of all 6 Infinity Gems. Yup, Thor calls them Infinity Gems and not Infinity Stones. I think it's safe to assume this will be happening between every upcoming Marvel movie based in this universe. Ultron later steals vibranium in an attempt to build a bigger and better body for himself. He decides to build the body with the power of Loki's scepter and the help of a female scientist, Dr. Helen Chow, who has the machines necessary to make human tissue from nothingness. Ultron is planning on making an android. In the cinematic universe, Ultron mentions how the humans were done by only scratching the surface of Loki's scepter. He figured out that there was another Infinity Gem on the inside of the scepter. He uses the Infinity Gem on the forehead of the android while it is still being made. While Ultron is uploading his software into the android, the Avengers come and steal the android and attempt to mess with Ultron's plan. This is a success, and when the Avengers get back to the Avengers Tower, Tony decides to mess with logic again and asks Bruce Banner to help him upload Jarvis's UI into the android. This is when Tony Stark finds out that Jarvis scattered himself throughout the interwebs. Banner decides to go along with it until Captain America comes and tries to fight against it. The heroes fight again until Thor comes along and strikes thunder on the android's creation chamber. This creates the hero android, the Vision. While everyone is arguing to see if the Vision should be trusted, he lifts Thor's hammer with ease, and this proves that the Vision is a good guy, not to mention worthy enough to wield Thor's hammer. The Vision is a huge part of the universe and is going to be a key role in Infinity Wars. This can be noted because the Vision has one of the Infinity Gems that Thanos is looking for. After the events of Age of Ultron, the Hulk flies away in a jet into the distance and turns off the ability to be seen on a radar. He just disappears, goes away. Where he goes is unknown, and it looks like we probably won't know for a while. Probably not Ant-Man, since Ant-Man isn't part of the superhero community yet, but soon enough will be. So possibly we'll find out where the Hulk is in Captain America Civil War, but who knows? Hulk might even join the Guardians of the Galaxy in their second movie in 2017. In the end of the movie, a new Avengers base is made with a new team. Captain America and Black Widow prepare to train the Scarlet Witch, the Vision, War Machine, and Falcon for the Avengers. Meanwhile, Thor returns to Asgard to learn more about the forces he suspects to have manipulated recent events. Hawkeye, Clint Barton, retires from the team, and Tony Stark did say how he would miss everyone and everything, so it's safe to assume he wants to be out, but however, it's obvious he won't be out of the cinematic universe because he's already signed on for Captain America Civil War in 2016. Sadly, the first death of a hero in this universe goes to Quicksilver. This will surely affect the Scarlet Witch in future movies as it did in Age of Ultron. Nick Fury also returns to the Avengers to run the new base in upstate New York. The post-credit scene for Avengers Age of Ultron gave me, along with everyone else in the world, chills. Here's what it meant. The scene started off with a golden gauntlet floating in some kind of storage holding center that I'll refer to as a vault. The vault opens up and reveals Thanos. Thanos reaches in the vault and puts his hand in the gauntlet that morphs straight on his hand, kind of like Iron Man's arm does. The gauntlet is seen to have containers that I assume to be 6 containers for the Infinity Gems. This will later be known as the Infinity Gauntlet. The gauntlet can hold all 6 Infinity Gems. Just think of what the power Infinity Gem did in the Guardians of the Galaxy. That power multiplied by all 6 Infinity Gems used by one being will be crazier than anything we have seen in any superhero movie on the big screen, or any screen for that matter. Needless to say, it will be big. We will just have to wait and see when Avengers Infinity War Part 1 releases on May 4th, 2018. We still have to see the last 2 Infinity Gems be found in other Phase 3 movies, maybe even Ant-Man later this year. All will be revealed in Marvel's Phase 3 movie slate. Hey guys, before I end this video, I just want to explain what Marvel's phases mean. So, basically Marvel is splitting up their movies into different phases to kind of break apart the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Phase 1 was basically just Marvel's Avengers Assemble. Phase 2 is kind of bringing them all together more and showing where they are after the first Avengers with the wormhole and Loki taking over. And then Phase 3 is basically prepping for Infinity Wars and Inhumans. Most likely Infinity Wars just because it's a huge movie and the god Thanos is going to be challenging the Avengers. So, needless to say, like I said, it's going to be huge. Anyways, I just want to give a huge shout out to my older brother Brandon for making this video possible, and it wouldn't happen without him. So, thanks, bro, and I'll catch you guys later.